Secretary of Defense James Mad Dog Mattis visiting with U.S. troops at the southern border today as a breakaway group of a few hundred migrants from the Caravan reaches Tijuana and is seen climbing the border fence. Secretary Mattis saying he's confident about securing the border as the Caravan arrives.
I'm 100% confident we have the number of troops at each of those ports of entry to complete what we've been asked to do prior to the arrival of the large caravans, wherever they choose to go, for right now.
Mattis's trip comes amid reports that President Trump is considering replacing Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. Trump telling the Daily Caller a decision could be coming shortly. Meanwhile, the big question on Capitol Hill is, will Republicans finally be able to get funding for the border wall passed?
No.
Congressman Jim Jordan urging fellow lawmakers to make it their highest priority.
The single biggest promise we made the American people in 2016 that we have not got done yet. Building the border security wall and securing the border. We should be focused on that one main thing over the next several weeks, as we still have a few weeks left while Republicans control all of government. We should focus on the biggest promise we made them and what they sent us here to do.
And former acting ICE Director Thomas Homan is warning Democrats will try to target ICE's budget when they officially take over the House.
I think they're going to look to cut the ICE budget, which means they'll fund less beds, which equals less arrests and less deportations and more catch and release. I certainly think it's going to be a struggle with the House under Democratic control because they don't want immigration enforcement.
All right, so let's take a look at the Caravan, or I guess some stragglers beat everybody to the punch. I guess they're the fast ones, Geraldo. They made it to Tijuana, and how easy is it to climb that wall? They're sitting up on top of the wall, straddling it. They fall, then they scurry back when they see any sort of presence on the other side. It's kind of a joke, isn't it?
Well, I think a new wall would be kind of a joke also. A 30-foot-high, multi-billion-dollar wall can be easily defeated by a $25, 31-foot ladder. What I am relieved is that the demonization of this group of people will end
are you
now that the
saying the
elections are over.
prototype doesn't prevent against ladders? I think they took that into consideration, Geraldo.
Walls stop Juan and Maria, the ordinary fruit picker, the babysitter, the lawnmower. They don't stop MS-13 and the gangbangers. They tunnel under it. They fly over it. They boat around it. A wall doesn't stop the professional criminals. But it is so firmly ingrained in the American psyche now that I have withdrawn my objection to the wall. If you want to spend $25 billion to build a wall, have at it.
You mean Mexico's going to pay for it? Americans aren't paying for it.
Hold your
well, that's big breaking news from Geraldo. What do you think, Greg?
I think it's a sad story because this was a politically motivated phenomenon, which paints a group of people as cheating, line cutting, taking advantage of
raping, murdering.
Yeah, and it's not. And the fact is, it was politically motivated by activists, and they claim that they're fleeing danger for safety, but they're fleeing right through and past Mexico, which is offering them refuge. It's like driving to the second hospital you see when you're shot, not the first one. It doesn't make any sense. So that's a contradiction. But the problem here is that Americans are good people. We like immigrants. We are immigrants. But this politically motivated phenomenon triggered our sense of unfairness and line cutting. So you see people get upset about it because they feel that America is being taken advantage of. If we just, and by the way, the reason why they're getting there faster is there are buses now. So there's all these questions that nobody answered. For example, how did this start? Who started it? How are these people being fed and clothed, and where are the bathrooms? And then how can they go so far so quickly? And we're seeing now that they're using transportation. So we see that this is all an artificially created phenomenon, and everybody comes out looking the worst.
And now there's going to be a big battle in the House, Kennedy. How are they going to, in the lame duck, fund the wall at all? I heard $5 million is on the table from Senator Mitch McConnell.
$5 million?
That's $5 billion, excuse me. And then they're talking for you, Geraldo. And then they're talking about defunding possibly when Pelosi takes over the gavel of ICE.
Yes, the Democrats have talked about that. It's really the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, because mainstream Democrats, populist Democrats from the Midwest, they really don't have a lot of interest in that because they don't have an answer for, well, what do you do in place of ICE? And that's the problem that Republicans ran into replacing Obamacare. They really didn't have a great solution for that, and people are going to get very sick and tired of that brand of obstructionism. Republicans really couldn't do much when they had the majority in both chambers.
Yeah.
So how on earth are you going to create this sense of urgency just because you have a compressed timeline? And the interesting thing here is you really do have a solution. Democrats have something they want. Republicans who support the president have something they want. And if you trade dreamers for the wall, both sides really are not far off in this compromise.
That's too sensible.
That was.
I know, but that's the problem is
Yeah.
if both sides love it. You're absolutely right about the activists on both sides. They love the entrenchment. It's one of those issues where everyone wins when a group of people caught in the middle are the losers.
There was a deal on the table, and then for some reason it fell apart. Morgan, now they're also talking about getting rid of Kirstjen Nielsen. Trump allegedly, if you're going to believe the media right now, is very upset with her. She's not doing enough on the border, and he's thinking about replacing her as soon as tomorrow, we're hearing.
Well, I just want to say for the record, I'm super happy that we're still talking about the Caravan. But listen, when it comes to
well, they said that Fox was going to stop covering the Caravan.
No, not at all.
They said Fox was going to stop covering it once the midterms hit.
We kept
and
it going,
we're covering it on the 5.
We kept it going. So everybody in the cabinet serves at the pleasure of the president, right? So if the president wants to remove someone because he doesn't feel that person's doing a good job, whether it's her or not, that's his prerogative as commander-in-chief to do as he wants. What I think was really important, actually, is that Mattis went down there. And all of you know that I'm, a national security person. And I think by Mattis going down there, he really signaled that this is a legitimate mission. This is a national security mission.
He said we don't do stunts at the Department of Defense.
He said that he's supportive of it. But he also talked about this sort of being a moral issue. He framed what happened 100 years ago whenever the military went down to the southwest border to protect it. So although a lot of people may not like the president's rhetoric or may make fun of him talking about the wall, I think what's important to note is that his strong action on this and his strong words on that, I think, are really preventing people from getting from getting even closer. But the most important thing, I think, is what Geraldo said, that the true people that we have to look at from a national security perspective are not the economic migrants or the refugees. The real problem are the gangs and the MS-13, and that's why you need the military, and that's why you need to beef up ICE, and that's why Mattis is down there, because this is about national security. It's not about a few poor migrants trying to get
Geraldo, I want you to respond to what Kennedy said. Do you think that the Republicans may have lost some seats in the House because they had the majorities and they didn't pay for the wall?
I don't think that's what happened. I think the president and the nation suffered the double misfortune, the tragedy of the massacre in the Jewish synagogue in Pittsburgh and the bombers sending bombs out the week before the election, giving America a sense of disquiet and looking at President Trump as being less than invulnerable. He seemed shattered or rattled, let me a better word.
But if it's in 2020, 2 years from now, there's still no border wall funding and there's still caravans coming, that's going to hurt turnout among Republicans.
I have urged the president to his face in conversations to please take the Kennedy deal, give the Dreamers a pathway to citizenship. The Democrats have already said they will fund the wall, make them stand up, make them do that. The elections have consequences. He's earned his wall, just as the Dreamers have earned their path to citizenship. But I have to say, you referenced something that Secretary Mattis said about 100 years ago. 150 years ago, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, California, and all these other states belonged to Mexico. So there's a special relationship that has to be recognized. We have 7 million unfilled jobs in this country. We have fruit and vegetables dying on the vine. I think we have to get off the dime. We have to force our political leaders, right and left, red, blue, Republican and Democrat, to fix this problem. Enough already. Enough grandstanding.
All right. I get it. It's important that we have people to go do these jobs. The one thing that drives me crazy about this is that whenever you are for the law and order process, whether it is for prisons, strong borders, or terror, the opposing side is always going to say that you're against a certain group of people. You're always going to be painted as mean. So if you have a strong border, you don't like brown people. If you're strong on terror, you're Islamophobic. If you're for a strong criminal justice system, you just want to incarcerate more blacks, which actually President Trump showed today he's not. But the point is, if you are a law and order person, the only argument that you're going to get in response is that you're just a mean bigot. And I think that really diminishes the debate.
It does, because they can't argue on substance. They have to smear.